All right, well, today we're going to hear from Lauren, Anna, and Cole. And you probably all know them quite well in the first place, so I don't know how much introduction I should necessarily do. Lauren works hard in everything she does. I am deeply impressed by her work ethic. She really, really works hard academically. She works hard at her sports, and I didn't know this till last semester, but she wanted to work hard at business. So she has done all of the above. And the neat thing about the three businesses that I think you're going to hear today, there's two neat things. One is, it always comes out of your childhood, or your childhood, or your childhood. It's just amazing. That seems to be where people make money and also where they're happy. And then the second thing is that if you are looking for a complex business, one of the three has a complex business. If you are looking for a simple business that maybe a really smart sixth grader could start, we have shows here for a simple business. So just, Lauren's an absolutely amazing person. So is Anna and Cole. And so I just personally can't wait. So that's all.
Okay, so hello, my name is Lauren Niesen. I'm a senior, and I have my own business teaching piano lessons to kids all around the area. Like Mr. Webber said, it started for me, or the idea, this all started when I was young. I started playing piano when I was 6 years old. My parents both play, love music, and thought it was really important that I start from a young age. And just to be able to read music and play an instrument is just invaluable skill. I did not like it at first at all. I hated going to, I had to walk across a bunch of people's lawns to my piano teacher's house, and she had big scary dogs, and she was old and German and scared me, and I did not like it. She made me cut my nails really short, and so honestly, for the first 6 years that I played, I hated it. I hated going. And then right before I quit piano, I had a really cool teacher who was a jazz pianist, and he taught me all about what some more fun music I could play. And so that's when I really started to like piano. But of course, right around that time I was 13, and I was starting to get really involved in sports and other activities, so I had to quit. And when I quit, I had about 7 years of learning, so I was pretty set, and that's when I really fell in love with it, because I could play whatever I wanted to. I could pick up music and just start learning it, and I'm so glad that I stuck with it. My parents made me stick with it, because it's so cool to just see a piano and be able to walk up to it and play it and be pretty good at it. And it's also just a big stress reliever in my life. A lot of times if I have a hard day at school, I'll just go downstairs, shut the basement door, and play piano for an hour and a half, just all the songs that I know. So I try to be, as a piano teacher, what I wish I would have had as a kid. I give them candy when we are learning notes. I'll put little Skittles on each key, and then if they if they say the note correctly, then they get to eat the Skittle, and if they get it wrong, then I get to eat the Skittle. And a lot of times kids are really interested in writing their own music. They really like experimenting, and so a lot of times I'll be like, oh, can you write that down for me so I'll remember? And so we try to write music together, as well as just playing fun music. I've given a lot of boys the Star Wars soundtrack to play, because that's a lot more fun than Beethoven or anything more classical that they think. I just try to make it clear to the parents and the kids that music is worthwhile, and being able to play an instrument is a skill that's going to transcend to a lot of other areas in your life. So as far as the business itself, it started the summer after my freshman year. I was 15, and it was May, and I realized I didn't have a summer job, and I was very late to the game, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get a job, this is going to be horrible. And my mom was like, well, just do your own thing, just go off on your own. And so I had to ask myself, what am I good at that I could charge people for, that sets me apart from other people? And so obviously I thought, oh, I can play piano, and I like working with kids, so why not teach it? Professional piano teachers, the ones that I took from as a kid, they charge about $20 to $25 per half hour, so like $40 to $50 an hour. And so I was like, okay, you know, if I charge 10 or 15, I can still be making $30 an hour. That's pretty good. And I can tell people, oh, I'm half the price of what you would be paying. And so I just started going with that. Still thought it was a little high, honestly. I was like, oh my gosh, are people going to be okay with this? But the first people I talked to were like, oh my gosh, that's great. Thank you so much. I'll totally do that. I charge people different rates depending on the situation. Like, I drive to people's houses for the most part, and so those people I'll charge $15 for a half hour because of gas. And I charge like $12 to my neighbor because I can walk. And then my parents make me charge them $10 because they're my parents. And I teach 2 of my brothers. So it really just depends on the situation, and I've worked it out with each person that I've taught to. A lot of times too, if parents will have like 2 or 3 kids that they want to take lessons, it's kind of a group rate. I'll go a little lower because they have all of the kids that I'm teaching. So yeah, it just depends on each situation how much I end up charging, but it's anywhere from $10 to $15 for a half hour. My first students was my neighbor, because I told her, I was like, I know you have a little son. Would he be interested in learning piano? Because I know you have a piano in your basement that is never used. And she was like, oh, sounds great. So she was my first, and ever since then it's just been word of mouth, honestly. And me walking up to people and people asking me, oh, well, what do you do? And I say, oh, I teach piano. And they say, I've been looking for a piano teacher. You would not believe how many parents are looking for piano teachers. In fact, Anna Callahan's mom, like, we were talking about a week ago, and she asked me what I did, and I said piano teacher, and she said, well, had I known, I have a son right now. And so it happens to me constantly. It happened to me back 2 years ago, and it still happens to me today. So, and also my mom is a great way of advertising, because she obviously interacts more with the age group that I'm looking at, which is moms of kids in grade school. And so a lot of times she'll say, well, my daughter teaches, and I've had a lot of clients come from my mom talking to people. So I haven't really actively advertised so much as it's just kind of come to me, which is very, very nice, probably unique, but it's nice. I think what's attractive about my business is just the fact that people don't want to charge or don't want to pay for a professional piano teacher if they don't know that if their kid's going to like it. You know, if your kid's like 6 years old, how do you know if he's going to become some crazy piano kid? You know, you don't want to pay like an arm and a leg to do something that they're going to quit within a couple of months. And because I can do probably as decent of a job as another professional piano teacher, because they're learning the very basics of piano, and you don't need a degree in music to teach, 7-year-olds how to like tap it out. So I've had many like different stages of this. The most students I've ever had at a time was 10, and that was the first summer that I had, and I was just working a lot with them. And then this fall during volleyball season, I had 1 because I had volleyball season, and I can just, because I'm in charge of it, I can just say, hey, we're taking a break from you guys, or a lot of people will just leave because they are busy too. Right now I have 7 because I am kind of in an off season, and that's really nice because I can schedule my own work time. If I have something come up, even, I'm not always proud of it, but even if somebody says like, hey, want to go out to dinner? I could be like, oh, sure. And then I text people, oh, sorry, I can't come to the lesson tonight, let's move it to like a half hour later. So it's really nice to be able to move my own work schedule to fit my needs and to fit like what's happening. Like if there's like a basketball game, I'm like, oh, can't teach Friday anymore. And people are very flexible with that, which is very nice. I always have to stay organized with myself, especially when in those seasons where I have more students, really like, keep track of, because a lot of times parents pay in advance, so they'll give me a check for the entire month, so I have to keep track of when they've paid for and what they have not paid for. But it's pretty, I've gotten it down to a science at this point. I have a binder, and that's pretty much what I roll off of. So yeah, like I said, my favorite things about it are that I can like have a life outside work and schedule it to what I need it to be, and it's only half-hour increments. I have worked at Blue Moose. I was a hostess for a while, and I would work for 4 or 5 hours on my feet, and I was used to my 30-minute piano lessons, and I was like, what is this? This is not fun. I don't like this. So I really like that it's just in those short time periods for like more money than I was making at Blue Moose for sure. And then plus I don't get any taxes out of it. That's always really nice. I can walk away with like the cash in my hand or a check, and it's exactly what I went into knowing I was going to get. So that's pretty much the business. And as far as college, I'm definitely going to college next year. I'm going to University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and I got into a program, like their honors business college like program, and I think a lot of the reason I did was because of this business. Like 80% of my interview for that program was talking about this business and how I shaped it. They asked, well, why are you interested in it? I was like, well, I'm kind of already doing it, and this is how I've done it. And so I'm going to be studying actuarial science, so I'm kind of going down a more math route. But I think that having this background in my own business is going to be like a big positive when I do that. And I haven't thought a lot about what's going to happen to this business when I go to college. I don't plan on continuing it like in Lincoln, but honestly, if I wanted to, the amount of people that are coming up to me and like, especially during the summer, they just want to try piano out for like 3 months. I am sure that I could come back and start it up again just by asking people and just regathering students if I wanted to come back and work it during the summer. So yeah, that's what I have.
Can we ask about 4 or 5 questions?
Do you spend anything on your business, or is it pretty much just if they have a piano, you'll just go teach them?
Yeah, I don't really spend any money. A lot of times that's like a prerequisite. I'm like, well, do you have a piano or a keyboard? And then honestly, keyboards are not that expensive, so if they're wanting the lessons, they'll probably want to like have one in their house anyway, especially for practicing. So they buy their own or have their own piano, and then they pay for their own books too. I have Amazon Prime, so I buy them for them because I get free shipping and they're really cheap. They're like $6, but then they just pay me back for it. So honestly, yeah, no money other than the gas money of driving around goes really into it.
So over the summer, what happens to your clients then? Do you usually have more or less?
Usually more in the summer because there's just more time in the day, and a lot of times it's like a type of thing where I can say like 10 a.m. get your piano lesson in for like 30 minutes and then do your day. Just because of school, a lot of times in the fall that like decreases. So in the summer I'd say I have more students, especially also because that's a good time period to like test it out, see if you want to keep doing it after those like 3 months of summer.
Will you ever raise your prices?
I haven't like thought about it, honestly. I probably could raise it a little bit because I have experience now. When I started, I was like, okay, I've never taught anyone. This is my rate. But since I now can say that I have almost 3 years of teaching experience with like 20 students, I probably could. But as it's, winding down to the end, I'm probably just going to keep it. I wouldn't want to raise my rates with the current students I have. Like, if somebody new came along, I'd maybe charge them a little higher, but not with the people I currently have.
What are your thoughts on student loan debt?
It's not good. I know I wouldn't want anyone to be in student loan. It's just not fun to like deal with, I guess. Are you saying like how it relates to me?
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll just be able to work it off. My parents have been really good about saving money for my college, and I got like the majority of my tuition taken care of with scholarships. So there hopefully, in my case, won't be too much of that because of the combination of both those things. But yeah, I guess as far as this business goes, I'm not sure I think I'd have to really ramp up my piano teaching business to take care of my student loan, but if it needed, it's always something I could come back to, so.
Do you save any of your money to make from piano?
Yeah, I save 30% that I make per month and put it in my savings account. Yeah, that's pretty much like what I've gone by. That's something, yeah.
If somebody were 15 and they came to you and said, oh, that's so cool, but I can't think of anything for myself, can you help me come up with something? Where would you tell them to go to get some good ideas?
I'd probably say look at your own extracurriculars, or honestly, like what you're good at. Like just whatever you're good at, that's what sets you apart from everyone else, and that's what you can charge money for. So if you're good at school, if you're good at academics, you can tutor kids. That's just like the same thing for me. This past summer, I like tutored 2 kids just because I could add that on. I knew what it was like to, run that type of business. And so if you're good at school, you can tutor kids. If you're good at literally anything, you can teach just about anything.
What did you tutor?
Math.
Okay. And my feeling is if you're in Algebra 2, and if you have an 8th grader who's lined up, I mean, you're a genius compared to that 8th grader, the type of math they need to know. Did you enjoy tutoring math?
Actually, I mean, it was still good. I still enjoy teaching it, but I like piano better, like a lot more, because math, it's just, I feel like I'm frustrating the kids by like moving at a like faster speed, and I feel like I'm not as good at that as I am at teaching piano, just because I know like more of the basics of piano and how to like teach at an early level versus like teaching an earlier level of math. I'm not as good at that. But
You do a lot of stuff, like sports and academics and business. How do you stay organized in your life?
Well, I love my planner. I like live for my planner. A lot of times I don't actually look at my planner. I just write stuff down in it and then close it, and then it's just helpful to like, it's just like that like mechanical thing that just goes to my head. So yeah, honestly, I like writing things down and really like scheduling out my life, and not like overlapping or overbooking and then assuming that one of them will just fall off. Like making sure that I only have one thing scheduled per time slot. A lot of times it does get overwhelming. I like say yes to a lot of things, but usually I just try to work with that and make sure to explain to whoever's in charge of like for example, like managing tennis. Maya's doing it with me. Like I'm doing that as well as directing one of the one-act plays.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I had to explain to like Coach Fangman, hey, this is my schedule. Like, are you okay with it? This is what I'm going to be doing. So as long as like you're openly communicating with the people in charge of you in all of your activities, for the most part, like things will work out.
I just have 2 more questions on this because I think that's really important. How do you get the courage? I feel like some people maybe don't have the courage to communicate with people in advance that, hey, there's a little bit of overlap. I don't think I'm going to be here 20% of the time. How do you get the courage to actually spell that out for people who are older and maybe scarier?
Yeah. I just think that, honestly, from my experience, being direct always works out better. Like, if you just consider the alternative, which is not telling them and then just not showing up, and then having them be actually mad at you, that is way worse than going up to them and telling them that you are going to be gone a certain period of time, and have them being like, oh, either they're fine with it and they say, that sounds great, or they're not fine with it and they say, can you switch that? Which is a lot better than dealing with the wrath of someone who expected you and you did not show up. So I just like considering the alternative. It's just a lot easier to go up and then just be straightforward and direct and tell them exactly how it is.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question on scheduling, because sometimes chaos happens in people's life. Like, if they're married, their child gets really sick and they have to miss 4 days of work. Have you had, I don't know, like a little crisis in your schedule that you had to just make adjustments for, like a very sick family member?
Yeah, any like crises that come up, like sudden things, like sudden trips or stuff where I just can't make it. Like I said, it's been really easy for me because people are very flexible, and it's like when you're the one controlling it,
Yeah.
when I can text someone and be like, hey, this came up, I really can't make it. Like one time I just had like car trouble, like my car broke in the middle of like the road, and so I couldn't make it to a lesson and just had to call them up and be like, hey, I'm not coming. And that's all it takes. So for me, it's been pretty easy as far as crises coming up. I can just let them know that we'll go see you again next week, but not this week.
So the takeaway is tell people while it's happening or before it happens. Don't tell them like a day or 2 or 3 after it happens.
Right, yeah.
If you tell them after the fact, even if it's a great story, like when my car broke down in the middle of the interstate, they're still going to be mad because you told them 3 days after the fact and they had to wonder.
Right.
Okay. Any final words of wisdom or advice?
I think that's it. I mean, I highly recommend doing this if you can, because like I said, you can continue and have a good high school life and be involved in a million things that, like, you know, your afternoons aren't taken up by like working long hours for not that much money. So I recommend it.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yep, thanks.